Okay, greetings. Today we have something miraculous for you. This is a clip from the World Economic Forum, I believe in Dublin, 2024. And I'm actually just going to put a screenshot up, and instead of watching the clip, you gotta listening to it because I care about you as the viewer. So I don't want to force you to listen to a couple minutes of Zog slop from the WEF. But I would imagine, as what I'm going to talk about, and simply from the caption with a couple of quotations, you could understand the message being put across. Now, this lovely lass that clearly appreciates and adores nature, she has this interesting talking points about, we're talking about basically water, soil, oxygen, the air people breathe, and starts off, I'm sure you can find this clip anywhere, goes into it calling them natural modes of economy, right? That's what she's using little bird hands here. These are natural economic factors. And then she later addresses, this is a short clip, but she later addresses what she believes is an issue is that it's almost like people in economy. It's almost like everybody treats nature as if it's infinite and free. It's almost as if this universe was magnificently and divinely created by an infinite being. And ultimately, the end of her point is that we need to bring nature onto the balance sheet. Right? We're doing too many freebies here. Every breath you take, every drink of water, every little bit of soil, somebody's got to pay for that. What in the Zog hell is this? Okay? At this point, if you don't know that the WEF is just a massive organization to eat kids and take all your property, then you might be a complete retard. Nonetheless, I'll give you some leeway. If you're just now finding this out, yes, the WEF has no interest of good things for the average person. But again, I think everybody should know that by now. The point of this actual video, the point of me bringing this screenshot and this topic of discussion is the fact that this is why capitalism is a net failure for society. Okay? This right here is why capitalism sucks. Because this is what it turns into. Like everybody always, I don't want to get theological about certain things, but so often in our current times, people get real nostalgic. Like, oh, well, what about back then when it was all working out? What about right now? Right now, we have seen the zenith and the conclusion of capitalism. And the issue isn't free enterprise. Free enterprise is great. The issue with capitalism is that it puts the merchants in charge. That is why our society is hell. Okay? That is why there's people who are miserable every single day. Because practically universally, the people with all the powerful making decisions are the merchant class. And merchants don't care about anything. Merchants have no God. Merchants have no conscience. Merchants have no morals. Merchants care about nothing besides money. Nothing besides balance sheets. Nothing besides number on the chart go up. Nothing besides more stonks, baby. That's all the merchants care about. They don't care about you, your family, nothing. None of it matters. The air you breathe, the water you drink, it needs to be on my balance sheet. You need to be keeping track of that, just like the meter on your home, right? There was a guy not that long ago with a dream of wireless energy free for everybody, but the merchants would have none of that. We need DC. That's why everything you have is plugged into the wall so it can run the meter so they can bill you for it. Okay, and now they want to do the same exact thing with water and oxygen and somehow the soil. All right? And this is why capitalism is hell. Ultimately, this is where we're going to go because no, some bullshit on my computer. Perfect. No, John McAfee accidentally died. So what else is there? Like, I don't understand what more proof people need. And I'm not going to go into the counter argument. Please don't be so ignorant watching these few minutes and think I'm some kind of commie fool. The point is, pure capitalism would just have to do free enterprise for everything. It's wrong. It's wrong. It doesn't work because it puts people who have no care for anything besides wealth in charge. It gives them too much power. This is why merchants cannot be in charge, because they don't care about anything besides money and wealth. Okay? This is the problem in our world. We got a bunch of merchant class type people. So we're talking about how to put the air you breathe, the infinite, ever expanding universe that has been magnificently created for us to enjoy, somehow on their little bean counting, shekel trading balance sheet. Why? It's so ridiculous. Everything's got to have a price on it. Everything needs to be GDP'd up, and it's just fucking terrible. You know, I don't think this needs to be some sort of deep dive discussion. I don't think it requires that much evidence. Is enterprise important to your empire? Absolutely. 100%. That's part of why you go and you win wars and you establish borders and you establish rules and laws, so then you can trade and then your people can prosper. But when your empire is enterprise, then the people suffer, right? Because the ironic part about this clip is that she's talking about, she's trying to make it look like she's this environmentalist. You know, well, the world it has finite resources, so we need to charge you for all this, and we're doing this in the economy, so it makes this resource scarce. It's like, if we weren't merchant class ruled and resource obsessed and wealth consumed, we wouldn't even be in this place to begin with. Okay? But these people, they just gotta have more and more and more. The greed is pouring out of their eyeballs at this point. You know, so that's the actual really ironic part about everything she's saying. She's claiming is a problem. Why they need to bring you on the balance sheet is because they put everything on the balance sheet to begin with. It's all about money. That's all they care about. That's all they're ever gonna care about, right? And that is the issue in our world. It's nothing but merchants. And consider everybody who is alive on the planet right now. Every single person who's alive on the planet right now can remember some kind of war their country has been a part of, but they cannot give you a coherent answer as to why that war was waged. Lots of semantics and these geopolitics will try to make it look like it's just going over your head, but it's not. It's because of the merchant class. The merchants and the bankers work together to finance wars so people can die for their wealth to grow. That's all it ever is. That's why there's endless wars, nothing changes, nobody ever wins, and nobody ever comes out on the other side and becomes prosperous or anything like that, because that's not the point. The point is for the bankers to give everybody loans, so then those countries can use those loans to then pay the merchants for weapons and bombs, etc., etc., etc. That's why all of the wars are pointless. Okay, so you don't have a real empire that cares about expansion and its people and its culture and its identity. None of that. All you have is a bunch of bankers and merchants working together to find out how they can get their numbers to go up. More money, more wealth, more boats, more planes, more cars, more trains. That's all these fucking people care about. And that's the way it's going to stay until we do something about it. Okay? I don't know how to deliver this message any other way. But if you think you're going to vote, you're going to cast some votes and things are going to be different, or you're going to sit around and your holy savior is going to come back and all of a sudden everything's going to work out, I hate to break it to you, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The merchant class must be dealt with, and they must be dealt with in a brutal, unforgiving fashion. Because that's what they plan to do to you. They're going to deal with you in a brutal, unforgiving fashion, and they're going to give you a bill when it's over. I'm here to tell you, it is sick. These people are sick. And this is why capitalism ultimately is a net failure for your civilization, for your society. Because it puts these people who care for nothing but wealth at the helm. It's all about enterprise, enterprise, enterprise. Once again, is enterprise important for your nation? Yes. You don't want to be a bunch of commie goons that nothing ever happens, nobody produces anything. You definitely want free enterprise. You definitely want a free market. But there has to be some kind of regulation that steps in once people are at a certain point. Because, again, why does your government never get anything done? Why do your elected officials never make anything happen that you wanted to happen? They told you, vote for me and XYZ will happen, but it never does. Why? Because the merchants own the politicians. You understand? I learned about lobbying in high school. I think maybe everybody did. But really just zoom out and look at lobbying for a second. That's, I was about to say illegal. I felt like that was kind of a silly thing to call it. But what else is it? Lobbying is just legal bribery? Is legal political bribery? I'm here to lobby for you. Here's $100,000. I'm going to need you to vote this way. That's the way it works every single time. Every one of your elected officials, is taking money from the merchant class. That is why it doesn't make any sense. That's why democracy also sucks. Because you have all these people buying into this bullshit narrative that there's some kind of people with a conscience who care about the others, who just want to stand up and do what's right for the people. But no, really, they're in these lines of work. They're in elected official positions because they are there for the handouts. They are there for the money under the table so they can screw you and the constituents over. That is why democracy sucks. That's why democracy is dumb. That's why democracy and capitalism ultimately will erode your society into nothing. Because, again, culture, identity, the love of your nation, it means nothing to them. They care for none of it. All they care about is more money. More money for them, less for you. More land for them, none for you. Good, well-grown meats, vegetables, fruits, all of that for them, and you will eat the bugs. Okay? That is why this sucks. That is why it's up to the people who care about their national identity to rise up and force change. And you're not going to do it in the ballot box. Okay? You might do it with a butcher box, but not a ballot box. So that's that. Again, I don't feel like this needs to be some kind of hour-long dissertation on why capitalism and democracy sucks. It's really, really simple. We are living in the results of it. Everybody can pontificate and have this idealistic viewpoint of, well, if we did it like this, and if this would happen, and if. I don't care about if. Look at it for what it is, okay? The WEF, are you serious? It's right there in front of you, and people still want to pretend like they have another option because they're so afraid of what they have to do in order to gain their own personal freedoms. All right? And today, I'm standing on this. I stand on this hardcore. Capitalism is ass because it puts the merchants in charge. The merchants are not good people. That's why they're not supposed to be in charge of your country. Merchants don't care about other people. Merchants don't care about animals. They don't care about the planet. They don't care about anything besides the jingling coins in their little purse. Okay, that's it. All they care about is shekels. All they care about is counting beans. They care for nothing else. Right? Before the time of the merchant, it was very, very obvious what wealth was. But again, if you can find this clip, that's something she talks about all the time. Is financial tools, financial is all of world finance is a giant hallucination. Money is a giant collective hallucination. It's not real. The economy is not real. It's the biggest Ponzi scheme that's ever existed. How everybody is in debt. The entire financial system is just a bunch of loans that nobody's going to pay back. That's all it is. It's as close to collective insanity as I think anybody has ever come to in history. You know, real wealth is land, animals, growing food, etc., or even being a nomadic tribe that goes place to place, lives off the land, has no worries other than waking up in the morning and living your life. You know, but no, the merchants won't have none of that. You're gonna have to pay. I'm gonna need to put you on the balance sheet. You know, it's sick. These people are sick. And if you think you're going to get rid of them with some votes, you're a fool. Okay? We got one option. Band together, rise up, crush them. Catch you in the next one.